familia. This week, instead of a project about wood turning, we're going to do something about the workshop. In this case, this workbench. As you can see, when I get out my car, there is not a lot of space left inside the garage. So I was thinking about a way to build a workbench, a sturdy workbench, and big enough to can help in my projects, adapting the height about the same of the table saw, so it can help as an outfit table, and also it have to, once folding, it can get into the garage in and out, as you just have seen. So the idea of the workbench is kept from different sources, from YouTube and through another website, so I get ideas here and there. The materials used were 6 2x4s, 1 2x3, 4 casters. This one is 2x6 feet in dimensions, of 3/4 inch plywood, but you can use whatever. And the lower one is still from the crane of the lathe, so I recycled some materials, and the function is very easy. Once it's folding, it's just 2x2 more or less, and the height is because the entrance of the garage. So let's go to build a workbench. Well, we're going to begin cutting the 2x4s to length. I'm establishing at the same time the size of the top and the base for the casters. So I'm going to adapt just to don't have to spend more 2x4s than needed. Now this is butt joints with glue and screws, nothing fancy. Always pre-drill the holes to avoid splitting. And now mark where the legs are gonna rest, which is in the center of the sides. Now we're gonna do a lap joint using the regular cutting disc. So it's just a matter of several passes with the table saw until we get it. It don't have to be exact perfect, but it's close enough. And now the same thing for the leg, which is going to provide us a very strong joint for the legs to hold all the weight of the table and the work. Finishing with a chisel, we test it, and it's good enough. Now we have to mark where the pivoting points are going to be, because the 4 legs have to pivot in a hole, and we mark it, and we use a jigsaw to round this end of the leg. Once it's done with the jigsaw, we change to the sander, which is mounted on the lathe, and now we are gonna begin to work on the tabletop. So the base of the tabletop is going to be 3 2x4s. These are the ends of the tabletop, so we pre-drill the holes, mark the exact center to can assemble everything together. Okay, time to assembly. We have to, as you can see, when in your workshop it's not a table big enough, you have to use 2 of them. In this case, I'm using the old one and the table saw, and this is one of the reasons to make a bigger one. And another reason to establish the height is if you have the same height in between all your surfaces at the workshop, it's much easier to have another to help when you make something big. The other end. Well, usually to add the plywood top to the table is the last step, but in this case I decide not to. It doesn't matter, it's just a matter of I choose to do that way to be perfectly square, and the plywood is going to help also to attach the next pieces. As it's going to be a pivoting leg table, I want to do this way, so it's just a matter of I don't know. You have to pre-drill and countersink all the holes. It's gonna leave a better surface. Now these 4 pieces, I have to turn the table upside down, and these pieces are going to hold the legs. So in this case, the plywood is going to act as the limit for these pieces, and everything is going to be finally assembled. Now I have to again establish the pivot points in every single part and round the finish. And this one is not needed to be round, but I will do it anyway. It will look better. And the 2 long legs, I have to do it as well. Now for the small pieces I will use the band, so it's easier than the jigsaw. But for the long ones it's a little bit complicated. Now drilling the holes. If you attach another piece of wood, a sacrificial wood down, will avoid splitting. Another chip out on the other side. And as always, when you use this kind of machines, be aware of your finger. Don't get your finger too close to the blade. Always be safe. Now it's assembly time. The distance from the end of the top to this place is random. I decide 1 feet away. The other one is a little bit more important because it's gonna determine the height of the table once it's done. But in this end, it's no big deal. And I attach it with glue and 5 screws, each of them, because here is where all the weight is gonna stand. So have to be a very sturdy joint. And 5 screws with glue are gonna do the job. And then, as you can see, I tested just with a pencil. Now it's important to align it perfectly. To do that, you can use some straight edge and a square. You will see it right now. Relocate it, use a straight edge now before attaching. And now the square will position exactly where you need it, and now it's time to attach it with screws. This way the legs will pivot perfectly. So here here I am attaching the legs with the bolts, with a washer in the middle, and then another washer and a nut at the other side, so it will align perfectly. And tighten it, and that's it. Another nut in the middle and another nut at the end, tied it, and we have it. Okay. And this will get both together, but this is another step. As you can see here, now we will position it depending of the height of the legs, so we have to leave clearance enough to the legs to can pivot without touching the tabletop. You will it's easy to understand when you see the legs in place and you see the motion. Now, as everything else, glue and screws. Again, a straight edge and a square will determine the exact place of the other one. Pre-drill. And time to attach it. Okay, now it's time to put the legs. As you can see, with 2 pencils we can test if it works perfect. So now it's time to attach. This is a little bit tricky part because these legs are together with the base, so are a little bit more tight, and it's a little bit, but as you can see, it's just a matter of patience. Once attached with the nuts and everything, it works perfectly fine. Okay, now to attach the casters, as you can see there, I attach small blocks in the inside of the base to have more surface, and it works perfect. This way you have a little bit more, and as the screws I'm using have the head not too big, I'm using some washers to add some support. Then all the casters have fully movement. 2 of them that are going to be placing in the outside have locking system or locking mechanism. once the casters are added, we have to decide where we are gonna attach the last parts. This is gonna be made by with 2x3s, and it's an easy part. This 2x4 is gonna add strength to the front legs, and the other one is an easy piece that have to be mounted when the table is closed. So when you open one leg, they're gonna pull from the other ones, are gonna leave it straight and stable when you put it on the floor. And here we have our product finished. There's not much more. Now it's time to clean everything, and when you open it, you have to be a little bit careful how to do it, and that's it. There you have it. Okay, I hope you like it. Any comments or any suggestions or any doubts, just leave a comment down below. Don't forget to subscribe, and if you like it, just share it. If anybody wants to help with the channel, there is a Patreon button over there.